The notions of your contemporary favorites were nothing but ancient savages, invented every possible kind of convenience for performing this same, although prosaic yet indispensable being need, on account of which these contemporary Americans, who in their naivety consider themselves already civilized to the ne plus ultra, have invented these comfortable seats in their water closets. This was precisely during the period when the chief center of culture for the whole of your planet was the country Tikliamish, and when this country was experiencing the height of its splendor. For this being function, the beings of the country Tikliamish invented something rather like these American comfortable seats, and this maleficent invention also spread widely everywhere among all the other beings of that ill-fated planet. If the said invention of the beings of the Tikliamishian civilization were compared with the invention of these contemporary Americans, then, according to the expression they sometimes use for comparison, the latter may be called a child's toy. The beings of the Tikliamishian civilization invented a certain kind of comfortable couch bed, which could be used for sleeping as well as for what is called lounging, so that while lying on this wonderful contrivance, and without manifesting the slightest being effort whatsoever, they could perform this same inevitable being need for which the contemporary beings of the continent America have invented their seats of ease. These wonder beds were so adapted for this purpose that a lever by the side of the bed had only to be touched lightly to enable one instantly in the bed itself to perform this same indispensable need freely, and of course very cozily, and also with the greatest, so to say, chic. It will not be superfluous, my boy, for you to know also, by the way, that these same famous beds had the effect of causing great and momentous events in the process of their ordinary existence. So long as the previous relatively normal system still prevailed among the beings there for the said being functions, everything went along very peacefully and quietly. But as soon as certain what are called power-possessing and wealth-possessing beings of that time had invented for this purpose the mentioned comfortable beds, which came to be called, if you wish to enjoy felicity, then enjoy it with a bang, there then began among the ordinary beings of that time that which led to the said serious and deplorable consequences. I must tell you that it was just during those years when the beings of Tikliamish were inventing these wonder beds that this planet of yours underwent a common cosmic process of Tir Novo. That is to say, that concomitantly with the displacement of the gravity center movement of this solar system in the movement of the common cosmic harmony, the center of gravity of this planet itself was also displaced. During such years, as you already know thanks to this cosmic manifestation, there increases everywhere on planets in the psyche of the beings inhabiting any planet undergoing Tir Novo, a blago-neurarirnian sensation, or as it is otherwise called, remorse of conscience for one's past deeds against one's own convictions. But there on your planet, thanks to the common presences of your favorites having become so odd, from a variety of causes, both proceeding from outside of them and arising through their own fault, the result of the action of this common cosmic actualization does not proceed in them as it proceeds in the presences of the three-brained beings arising on other planets during Tir Novo. That is to say, instead of this remorse of conscience, there usually arise there and become widespread certain specific processes called the reciprocal destruction of microcosmoses in the tetartocosmos, which processes, when proceeding in them, they themselves look upon as what are called among them epidemics, and which in ancient times were known by the names kalunom, Moorkroch, Selnuano, etc., and in present days by the names Black Death, cholera, Spanish influenza, and so on. Well then, thanks to the fact that many of these diseases, then called Kolbana, Tirdiank, Moyasul, Champarnach, and so on, and called by contemporary beings tabes, sclerosis disseminata, hemorrhoids, ischias, hemiplegia, and so on, were widely prevalent among the majority of those using these exceedingly comfortable couch beds. Those beings among them in whose common presences the data for Hasnamussian properties had, thanks to the complete absence of the actualization of being particle duty, already previously begun to be crystallized more intensively than usual, and among whom were those called revolutionaries. Observing this particularity, decided to take advantage of it for their own purposes. That is to say, types of this kind, invented and circulated, broadcast among the masses of beings of that time, that all the aforesaid epidemic contagious diseases resulted from the fact that thanks to the beds, if you wish to enjoy felicity, then enjoy it with a bang. The parasitic bourgeois contracted various diseases, which diseases afterwards spread by contagion among the masses. Thanks to that peculiar inherency of theirs called suggestibility, which I mentioned before and which had been acquired in their common presences, all the surrounding beings, of course, believed this, as they call it, propaganda of theirs, and there usually being in these cases a quantity of talk about it, there was gradually crystallized in each of them the periodically arising factor which actualizes in their common presences that strange and relatively prolonged psychic state, which I should call the loss of sensation of self. In consequence of which, as it also usually happens there, they set about destroying everywhere, not only these wonder beds, but also the existence of those beings who used them. Although the acute stage of this, so to say, obtuseness in the presences of most of the ordinary beings of that period soon passed, nevertheless the raging destruction both of these beds themselves and of the beings who used them continued by momentum during several terrestrial years. Eventually this maleficent invention went completely out of use, and soon it was even forgotten that such beds had ever existed on the planet. At any rate, it can be said with certainty that if the civilization of the beings of the group now breeding on the continent America develops in its present spirit and at its present rate, then they also will unquestionably civilize themselves to the degree of having bed couches, as astonishing as were those beds. If you wish to enjoy felicity, then enjoy it with a bang. It will not be amiss now, my boy, also to remark, by way of illustration, upon the invention of preserved products for the first being food, and their application in the process of being existence by the beings of this contemporary group, who in recent times have chanced to become, for the strange reason of the beings of all the other continents, so to say, objects of imitation, chiefly on account simply of the fact that they were supposed to be the first on their planet to invent such beneficent and convenient being usages, namely, in the given case, the device of feeding themselves with preserved products, thanks to which they, as it were, save time. The contemporary unfortunate three-brained beings in general who breed on your planet are, of course, not